Whoa, it's March and I'm recording a video about setting goals in 2022. But really, honestly, what can goals look like for teachers, leaders, and other educators in 2022? It's such a hard time, but having goals helps us move forward on what we care about, and it helps us be happier. But I do think that being in the second year of a global pandemic and in the context of a national teacher and leader shortage requires a really special approach to goals. So get excited about this video because I'm going to share my best ideas about how we can work toward our goals in 2022. Welcome to my channel, Lead with Love and Love to Lead. My name is Jess Madden-Fuoco. So people ask me about goals a lot because they know I have a full-time job in the Boston Public Schools, but I also teach courses for adults about restorative practices and about teacher evaluations, and I have this YouTube channel. So how do I do all this? And the key really is goals. But goals in 2022 sure do require a special approach, which I have summed up in the acronym GREAT, G. G stands for gentle and grace. I think in 2022, we have to be gentle with ourselves and we have to give ourselves grace. We are surviving a challenging global pandemic, and our anxiety about many things about the future is justifiably acute. And as school leaders and teachers, we're trying to support a lot of other people through this very challenging time. And that's why it's especially important to be gentle with ourselves and give ourselves grace when we don't live up to our own expectations. I think that we have to think about this concept of gentle even when we're choosing goals, because a lot of times when people choose goals, they choose goals from a sort of self-punishing, self-critical frame of mind. So for example, somebody might feel like they need to lose weight because they aren't beautiful as they are, which we know is a bunch of bullshit. Or we choose goals from a place of, I'm not good enough as I am, which is also a bunch of bullshit. So instead, I encourage you to think about goals that will help you feel more yourself, that will help you find some peace during this challenging time, and goals that really come from a place of self-compassion and self-kindness. So I also encourage you to think about being gentle with yourself and giving yourself grace when you fall off track in your efforts to meet your goals, which is a natural part of any efforts to work on goals. All right, the next letter in the GREAT acronym is R, and R stands for resonates. So as you choose a goal, I want you to really think about something that resonates with you very deeply in your life right now. So I don't want you to choose a goal that someone else thinks you should have or that society thinks you should have. Choose a goal that resonates with you deeply. To help you do this, I encourage you to think about the line from the Mary Oliver poem, A Summer Day. And at the end of that poem, she writes, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" So I think this is a great way to think about whether the goal resonates with you deeply. You can ask yourself, is this goal worthy of my time and attention during this one wild and precious life of mine? During 2022, we don't really have time for bullshit goals. It must be one that resonates. So the next letter in the acronym is E, and E is for exciting. So I got this one from Michael Hyatt, and I love this idea that we should choose goals that really excite us. So I think about Brené Brown's quote all the time, "Don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do it." Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. So your main goals in 2022 should be ones that make you feel like you come alive. So I was struggling with how to really quantify and define what would success look like with my health in 2022. And then I thought about my high school prom dress. So my high school prom dress, I went to high school in the 90s. But you can see this picture here of me and my friend Helene. This was back in maybe 2009, 2010. And the idea of being able to wear this prom dress is very exciting. So I also thought about exciting when I was thinking about my other big goal of 2022, which is creating an online restorative justice practices course. So anyone who knows me knows that I love designing courses, and I especially love designing courses about things that I think will transform our world and our schools, like restorative practices. So that is a goal that really makes me feel like I come alive. A is for actionable. So for any goal, you need to think about the small actions you can take to achieve it. One thing that really helped me with goal achievement is that most goals can be turned into daily habit goals. So of course, with something like health, we often think about the small daily actions we can take to improve our health. But even for a goal that's a project, like creating an online restorative practices course, what I did is I made that into a daily habit goal of spending 10 minutes a day on it. And you might think, 10 minutes a day, is that enough? Of course it's not. So often I spend more time on weekend mornings when I have time to devote longer than 10 minutes to it. But I want to push you on this, because if you spend 10 minutes a day on a goal, over the course of a week, that adds up to 70 minutes. And I also find that by spending 10 minutes a day on it, it keeps the project fresh in my mind, and I'm more likely to come up with great ideas at other times because I'm always thinking about it. And by breaking that big project down into a daily habit goal of just 10 minutes a day, I know I can keep progressing on it. All right, so the last letter of the great acronym is T. And T stands for track it. So tracking my progress on my goals has been really helpful for me. It ends up being a visual reminder where I can look at my habit tracker and say, oh yes, this is the number of times I want to be doing this, so it helps me know what I want to do each day. So there are many ways to track your habits. There's digital habit trackers. I prefer to keep mine on paper. So if you want to make a paper one, I recommend using Canva, which is free at canva.com. So this is my habit tracker, and you can see that it's mostly my health and fitness goals, but you can also see that I added the goal of working on my restorative practices course for 10 minutes a day. So if you want to know exactly how to make a habit tracker like this, check out my video, Reach Your Goals Through Habit Trackers. So I want to caution you here and remind you of the first letter in our acronym, about being gentle with yourself and giving yourself grace. Because one thing that can happen with a habit tracker is you can end up feeling really disappointed in yourself if you aren't able to stay consistent with a habit that you're trying to install, or if you fall off and need to begin again. But what I encourage you to do is try to look at ways that you deviate from your habits as learning opportunities. So think about them as a chance to think about ways in which you might want to modify your goal as you learn about what works for you and what doesn't work for you. I also encourage you to think about what I've learned from meditation teachers, which is a lot of times when people are meditating and they find themselves getting distracted, they can get really frustrated with themselves that they started having all these stressful thoughts when they were trying to really relax and meditate. And what I've really learned from meditation teachers is that you actually have to try to be grateful for when you realize that your thoughts have been distracted, and to see it as an opportunity to begin again. And I encourage you to do the same thing when you fall off track with your habits, which we all do, and think about it as a chance to begin again and give yourself grace. Because what we have to realize is that living through a time like this, we're going to struggle and we're going to face challenges. And we're also working within the context of supporting students, families, and colleagues through a very difficult time. So we have to give ourselves grace and self-compassion. So to review, as you think about your goals for 2022, I encourage you to choose goals that come from a place of being gentle with yourself and to give yourself grace for when you fall off track. I also encourage you to choose goals that resonate deeply with you and goals that are exciting, and then to break them down into small actions and track those daily actions. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you're interested in the topics of teacher evaluations and how to achieve your goals, check out these other videos on my channel. And if this video is helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up, click that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you know about future videos. And as always, please share this video with all your teacher, leader, and educator friends, because my mission with this channel is to support your growth so that you can support our students' growth. And remember, if you lead with love, you will love to lead.